Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News with Masters. Toronto's Swiss stage effectively reaching its conclusion today. Big results yesterday with many reactions indeed. Some teams already eliminated from the tournament and in many respects in absolutely shocking fashion. The number of these rounds that were secured by some of these teams was embarrassing compared to what their expectations were coming into the tournament. Big reaction to it as well, especially with some of the drama coming in with Heretics especially, but MIBR as well. What's going to happen for the rest of the weekend? Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Maybe this is the only man that can save the MEA, we'll see about that. Yesterday, of course, we did get the KDA on the UI, so this was a nice step in the right direction here after they've played around with a few things. Pansy, of course, was rather happy about it. We did get a couple of interesting scrimbucks as well. NRG were playing the Qubit Academy. Interestingly for Cuba, right, or Qubit, we saw the other day that Redux made it quite clear that they were pretty frustrated that they weren't able to get any good scrims because the teams that they are potentially trying to play don't want to play them because they might give information away to Sentinels. And whether you think they're going to do that or not, it's understandable that some of the teams may feel that way, to be fair. So they've been grinding, but the main reason why they want to get some good scrims in is because they want to test out their new rosters. Of course, they can still play against teams that aren't playing at Toronto, NRG for example. So yeah, they played with minus Scuba, of course, who's gone anyway to NRG itself, minus T-Dog, plus Caillou, plus Satellite. So that's maybe what they're working on with the Qubit Academy. We'll see how that goes. But let's talk about the Masters Toronto stuff, because first of all, Liquid gave an interesting confirmation that with Penny's good work in their first series, Nats, of course, is back in, but they are contemplating, and they are saying that they will do it, to have a six-man roster with both Serial and Penny potentially stepping in where required. So, look, they've got Penny services anyway. They might as well include him in the team if they could potentially need to. So, Liquid came back strong yesterday. Nats turned up and, well, they delivered an absolute sensational result. This is pretty funny on the broadcast. Pistol frauds. Team Heretics are 0-6 on pistol rounds. But Heretics got beaten not by Team Liquid, because Liquid played MIBR later in the day. They got beaten by the Wolves, and this was remarkable for a number of different reasons. Great story for Wolves Esports to get the job done, because they were pretty competitive against Sentinels. And to be fair, Wolves were considered going in to be a bit of an underrated force. I will say, surprising to me that Heretics allowed Pearl to be played. If we look at Heretics' other series, the one that they lost, of course, the first time around to Paper X, they played Pearl map 1, and it was 13-1. So after getting 13 ones by Paper X and giving Wolves loads of confidence in that map, they then go on to play them on it as well. And then they lose it on it again, which of course is just going to kill your confidence, really. And then the Lotus ended up 13-9. So amazing results from Wolves and Heretics. I mean, look, Heretics, they've had such a strange season, really. They started off not looking like the same team they were before. Then things seem to get a little bit better. And then in recent weeks, they turn up to Toronto and they're just absolutely nowhere to be found yet again. So, what's going on with Heretics? They've got to think about some serious, not necessarily changes their roster, but they've got to diagnose a lot as to how it got to this point. Because, you're going to turn up here, you're not going to win a single map against, obviously, look, Paper X, fair enough, they can 2-0 you, but it's not like Paper X went on to go on to qualify emphatically for the playoff stage. They're still in a dogfight themselves. And then to go down to Wolves is, just a shocking loss for Heretics, a really shocking loss, but also a pretty hilarious loss in the context of what happened going into the tournament. As ShewFatBB says, my teammates and coach today were amazing. Everyone trusts my calls, keeps the high discipline and execution. Teammates standing up with me today. Keep humble, stay hungry. So thought it was really cool. Honestly, love supporting these Wolves guys. Exciting team. Hopefully they can, do some damage at least today. And the funny thing was that their coach comes out and says, F your pick'ems, 12th place power ranking, by the way. Now, the reason why he's saying this is because there was a power ranking that was done by the Heretics boys going into the tournament, and they put this together. So this was their order of teams. Now, to be fair, lots of these teams, they weren't really sure how to rank them just because, they're not watching a load of Wolves gameplay. But they did rank as follows. G2 number 1, Heretics number 2, Sen, Fnatic, G2, or Gen.G, sorry, XLG, MIBR, RRQ, Paper X, BLG, Team Liquid, and right at the bottom, they put Wolves, right? So that was their 12th place team. They then played them in the second round and got bopped out of the tournament on the loser's side. And even as Sentinels say, rip our Heretics rematch, right? That's what Sentinels wanted. They wanted their Heretics rematch. They wanted some of the drama. But no, Heretics got knocked out so early that it doesn't even matter, right? So Sentinels thought that was pretty entertaining. I don't know what you guys think about this as well. There was a post I saw on the Reddit here, which is, fascinating Reddit brain as ever. But I thought an interesting stat. Every international Heretics participated in since last year, they always lost to the first and the third place teams, and only the first and the third place teams. So Paper X and Sentinels in Madrid, G2 and Gen.G in Shanghai, and 11 EDG in Seoul. Therefore, one of Paper X and Wolves is winning Masters, Toronto, the other's taking third. So, I presume this run is probably going to come to an end. The other series, though, that was fascinating and kind of confusing, really, was what happened with MIBR. They turned up to this tournament and season with, not even this season, but the tournament they turned up to with some optimism. Yes, things didn't quite work out for them for the World Cup and everything, but they did come third when it mattered. They qualified for the international tournament here in Toronto. And even on the day, quite unfortunate timing, but Aspas was included in 2025 Player of the Year so far. And here he is alongside Zaiwu. But as the day progressed, of course, the story on that somewhat changed. So Liquid took down MIBR 2-0. And frankly, absolutely crushed them, right? And we did see both Penny and Serial play. So game one, Penny was in on the icebox, 13-6. Verno was shooting back, nobody else really was. And then the next map was the Sunset, 13-7. They put Serial in for this one, and again, it was pretty clean cut. So, impressive from Nats. He turns up, he arrives, obviously he's on the comms, did a great job, played a great series on the Viper as well, and Liquid get the job done. But MIBR were not only nowhere, but Aspas individually was also nowhere, right? So very confusing because, obviously on paper, Aspas best player on the team, no doubt about it, and that's of course still true. But in the couple of series that he played this weekend, Aspas was, was nowhere to be found really, and it just felt like the energy in that team was effectively non-existent to such a degree that we regret to inform you that MIBR will not be doing the press conference. So it seems like they kind of just rage quit and decided, we're, crashing out right now. We need to just not bother with this. So, it was all drama going on last night as a result of the series. Of course, fair play to Nats and Liquid getting the job done in the way that they did and at least giving themselves a chance. As Cortasia says, shameful loss. These things are difficult to understand. We try and join the dots and understand, but it becomes impossible. I've learned to trust in the Lord even if I don't see the end of the tunnel. I know that in the future I'll understand why. Sincerely apologise to the fans. Didn't hear anything from Aspas on this as of yet, but remarkably, Trace Esports, they went out of Bangkok earlier this year. Trace Esports, again, were one of those interesting teams because they looked so good domestically. They turned up to the international in Bangkok and pretty much got slammed. But they won 22 rounds in the couple of series that they played, whereas MIBR won only 19 rounds. They won 7 and then 6 in the series that we just looked at. That was 13. And the first series they played, of course, they won barely any at all, as we know. Getting 13-5, 13-1 by Gen.G on the opening day. So they end the tournament with 19 total round wins, which is, shockingly low. I mean, Aspas leaving with a 0.53 rating, 130 ACS. I will say, Aspas has kind of, his teams historically, when they qualify for their second international, don't do very well, or their second big tournament. As a team, the first one they go to, they tend to do quite well, and after that, it's fine. But Aspas historically, with his second kind of big event with teams, doesn't always go to plan. But it's a weird thing to talk about, really. And if this obviously continues, then this team is not going to stay together too much longer. But it's kind of out of nowhere in a way because they looked for some time like they were going to be competitive, and then things all rather fell apart. So what an interesting weekend for those guys. And as Sentinels, therefore, say look, MIBR are dusted. Sassy is, of course, one of their content guys. Is look, no problem, Sassy. Just come back to Sentinels. It's where you want to be anyway. We'll take good care of you. Whether that's going to happen, we'll see. But today, couple of big series coming up to effectively decide the fate of Swiss stage, because we know that Gen.G and Sentinels qualified. Heretics and MIBR are dusted. Billy, Wolves, PaperX, Liquid. Those are the final 4 teams left, and the games are as follows. PaperX Team Liquid, BLG Wolves. So we get the battle of the Chinese teams. One of them qualifies alongside XLG, one of them does not. So, pretty mega series. BLG will be the slight favourites, but of course Wolves did a pretty impressive showing yesterday. And then PaperX Team Liquid. Banger series. This is going to be a banger series, I think. I'm buzzing to see who actually wins this one. No idea really how this is going to go because, of course, earlier in the tournament, PaperX played Heretics and they lost to Gen.G, but Gen.G looked really strong both games that they played. Liquid now with Nats back in could be a serious threat. Of course, they went down to BLG 2-1 on the first day. So, it's all going on, and at the end of the day, we will know our 8 teams for the playoffs, and of course, then there's the whole discussion about who's going to select who to play in the playoffs. And that's when all the drama is going to continue as well. So very much interested your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.